Hi everyone, Leah here from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another fun beading video for you. Before I get started, just a quick reminder to go check out the rest of our channel. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. You'll always know when we're posting new content. Today is a fun little quickie earring design, and I'm going to be using some of the new findings that we're carrying on EurekaCrystalBeads.com, these beautiful oxidized brass findings. So we have them here in both head pins and ear wires. And as far as our beads go, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So I have some 4mm Swarovski crystal bicones. These are in the color Aurum, which is the most metallic gold of golds. I love it. I think it's going to go really, really nicely with this oxidized brass. But then to change up your price point a bit, I want to show you how you can use a simple 8mm druk to get a beautiful, beautiful look. So you don't always have to pair Swarovski with Swarovski or go with something that's a little more expensive. You can use a bead that's hanging out in your bead stash, these beautiful druks. We have a huge selection of them over on EurekaCrystalBeads.com, and they're going to pair really, really nicely with the druk here. And this one has just a really lovely texture to it too. Okay, so to get started, the design I'm going to be doing for this earring is going to be pretty simple. We're going to start with a small bead on the bottom, then we're going to go with that big 8mm druk, and then we're going to go with another smaller bead on top. Nice, pretty simple earring. Now, if you don't like the look of this, you can certainly just do a druk on the bottom and the bicone on top, or you could do the bicone on the bottom and a druk on top for a little bit of a reversed look, have that heaviness at the top and then taper down, which I think is beautiful. But I'm going to use both of those, and we're going to have a bicone on the top and the bottom. Now, we're going to be rolling a loop. So for that, we're going to be using 3 different wire working tools. So first we have our wire cutter here. We have our chain nose pliers, which are flat and smooth inside, and they taper to a point. And then we have our round nose pliers, which are like 2 little ice cream cones, and that's how we'll make all of our round shapes. So what we're going to do to start is, this head pin is pretty soft. So what we're going to be able to do is just use our fingers to bend it out straight from the top of that bicone. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, if your fingers give you a little bit of trouble, you can certainly use your chain nose pliers here. You're going to grab right above that crystal, but then move it up just a hair before you make your bend, because we don't want to make that bend right so close to the crystal that we could risk cracking the top of the crystal as we make the bend. So allow a little bit of that space there so they can breathe. Now we're going to cut about half of this wire off. Now, it's not always going to be cutting half off. It really depends on how many beads you've stacked up and how much wire you have left. If you stacked a few more beads on there and you only had about this much wire left, you're not cutting off anything at all. But we're going to cut about half of that off because I kind of eyeball about how much I need for a loop. This is a great beginner earring. This is as beginner as it gets. So if you're looking to start making earrings, or if you're looking to start, say you want to start teaching a grandchild to make jewelry, or a friend, this is a great project to start with, because you're just doing some basic design work that you can have a lot of fun with as far as the color and the shape and the size of the beads. And then the technique on top is super simple. It's also a great introduction to our 3 basic wire working tools. If you check over on the rest of our channel, we have a lot of wire projects that have all different skill levels, a lot of fun earrings and lariats and bracelets. Okay, so now what we want to do is grab the very end of that wire. And as far as where you grab it on your pliers, that just determines how big your loop is going to be. Now, we don't need a loop that's enormous, but we don't want one that's teeny tiny either. So I'm going to grab probably about a quarter, almost a third of the way into the pliers. And I'm going to turn it so I can look at it, which I'm not quite doing for myself, but I'm holding it towards the camera so you can see. And this is important because you want to hold it in a way that you can see that loop forming, because that's going to tell you how it's going. And that's going to tell you if you should stop and readjust before you keep going. So we're going to just roll our loop, relax back the wrist, re-grab. Roll our loop, relax back the wrist, and re-grab. We're going to get a nice little loop there. Not bad for barely looking at it while I was doing it so you all could see. But you can see a nice little loop at the top. Now, it's really important that you make sure that your loop is closed all the way, because if your loop is open even a little bit, that means it could come off of your ear wire, and you don't want that, because then you're going to lose your earring. If your loop was mainly formed, but it was a little bit off to the side, it was a little bit a little bit skewed. What you can do is just use your chain nose pliers and you can just sandwich the loop flat in between, give it a press, and it'll line everything back up again. So once you make sure that your loop is nice and closed, you can go to your ear wire, and all ear wires have a loop and that loop opens. Now, depending on the style of ear wire, I will determine where that opening is going to be, whether it's on the inside here or the outside here. This particular style, that opening is right here on the outside. So I'm going to grab pretty close to where the opening is, and I'm going to swivel the loop open. You always want to swivel when you open loops. You never want to open loops like this. You always want to swivel like this. That's what keeps the loop stronger and keeps it from breaking. So now you want to take your little dangle here, get that right onto the ear wire, and then go back to that opening with your chain nose pliers and then nudge it shut. And again, just like you wanted to make sure that the loop you formed at the top of your earring was nice and closed, you want to make sure you do the same thing here. Otherwise, you're going to run into that same problem, which is that your little beautiful dangle here is going to fly right off. Now, if you've only worked with gold or silver, you definitely want to give some of these really fun oxidized metals a chance. We have these beautiful findings in oxidized brass, like I'm showing you here. We have oxidized copper. We have sort of a black oxide color, really, really lovely colors. We have a lot of fun chains as well that correspond with them. So definitely try to expand out from beyond that gold and silver palette if you haven't already, because you can get some really beautiful antique vintage looks by using these lovely oxidized metals. All right, so now I'm going to whip through this one a little faster there. So we're stacking on our beads. And you wouldn't believe, if you're brand new to jewelry making, you wouldn't believe how many different looks you can get with just the techniques I showed you here, just by changing up the beads that you're adding, how many you put, the colors, the shapes, the sizes. You can have a lot of fun. So this is super versatile. So make that bend. I'm going to cut that wire down by about half. I'm going to roll that loop. If you have a hard time getting your loops the same size, you can take a little Sharpie marker and make that little line there, and then you'll know where to grab each time you go to make a loop. Roll that loop. It's just kind of like this motion. Okay, and you get a nice little loop there. Just what you want to see. Honestly, I've seen out there they make these crazy big looping tools. They're really, I think, not super necessary. I think with the right technique, it's so easy just to do it yourself. There we go, slip our little dangle right on there. Make sure it's shut all the way. And here we go. Really beautiful, simple pair of earrings, simple technique, endless possibilities, folks. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure to visit us on over at EurekaCrystalBeads.com for everything I used in this video. We'll link you below to that as well. And hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye.